Hi, I'm Dr. Michael L. Johnson. I'm a board-certified chiropractic neurologist. I've been in practice in Appleton, Wisconsin since 1983. I'm the author of this book, What Do You Do When the Medications Don't Work? A non-drug treatment of dizziness, migraine headaches, fibromyalgia, and other chronic conditions. I also consult with over 1,000 chiropractors across the country. You can see those doctors and read testimonials at www.lifechangingcare.com. That's lifechangingcare.com. So I'm here to speak to you today about dyslexia and how to finally end your child's dyslexia nightmare. So what makes us different from every other doctor that you have seen? I'm going to tell you. We treat your child neurologically and metabolically, and that's what this DVD or video is going to get into. Now, you came to this website or you have this DVD because of the fact that someone you care about, someone you love, is suffering with dyslexia. And I'm here to tell you that no stone is left unturned to find the exact cause of your child's dyslexia. So let's look at the statistics with dyslexia, and the statistics are staggering, okay? Maybe you already know this. First of all, dyslexia is the most common cause of reading, writing, and spelling difficulties. Of people with poor reading skills, 70 to 80% are dyslexic. If your child has poor reading skills, could very well be dyslexic. 1 in 5 students, or 15 to 20% of the population, has a language-based learning disability. Dyslexia is a problem, the most common of the language-based learning disabilities. Nearly the same percentage of males and females have dyslexia. So it's not like ADD, ADHD, or autism, where you see it more in males. Nearly the same percentage of people from different ethnic and socioeconomic backgrounds have dyslexia. The percentage of children at risk for reading failure are much higher in higher poverty, language minority populations who attend ineffective schools. The National Assessment of Educational Progress, NAEP, found that approximately 38% of 4th grade students have a below basic reading skills. You'd be surprised, and we have something that tests this. If you go to readingplus.com, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, readingplus.com, it's called the Taylor Visograph. It measures at what level your child is reading. And you'd be surprised how many 8th grade students are reading at a 2nd grade level or 1st grade level. It's amazing. These students are below the 40th percentile, performing below other than 60% of their peers, and are at greater risk than 50% chance of failing the high-stakes year-end school achievement tests. About 3/4 of the children who show primary difficulties with basic reading skill early in reading development can be helped to overcome these difficulties to a large extent. That's what we're here to talk to you about today. Less than 1/3 of the children with reading disabilities are receiving school services for their reading disability. The causes for reading difficulty may be neurobiological. I'm telling you, it's neurological or neurobiological. It's neurometabolic, caused by different structure and function of the brain. This is right off a dyslexia website. Maybe you know this stuff. So it's there. At present, there is no genetic or neurological test. There is no drug, medication, pill to help dyslexia, to diagnose or predict those problems through our neurobiological. I'm telling you there is, and I'm going to show you. Like I said, this came off a dyslexia website. About 5% of the population will have enduring severe reading disabilities that are very difficult to treat given our current knowledge. They don't have the knowledge that I'm about to share with you. So I'm going to guarantee you that no one has told you what I'm about to tell you. Nobody. I'm going to address what makes my program unique and how I successfully treat dyslexia. I teach this to the other 1,000 doctors who are in my program. What makes my program unique? We treat both sides of the brain. Remember how I said about medication, and there's no medication to help dyslexic patients? You know, the medications that they give for autistic kids or ADD, ADHD affect the brain globally. It affects both the left and right hemisphere, the left and right side of the brain. Everyone's heard left side of the brain controls right side of the body, right side of the brain controls left side of the body. That's true. So what do? We treat both sides of the brain, the right brain or hemisphere versus the left brain or hemisphere. And I want to cover that with you and what differentiates the two. So in order to fully understand dyslexia, we must look at both sides of the brain. When we understand what each side normally does for a child when they are balanced or integrated, we can understand what goes wrong when there is an imbalance, a functional disconnect. So let's look at the right hemisphere versus the left hemisphere. The right brain is your brake pedal. It stops. It has to do with withdrawal responses. It stops movement. It stops thought. It controls gross motor movements or big movements, posture. It likes low-frequency stimulation. It is the where part of the brain. It has to do with social learning. You know, you ever have somebody tell you that they love you, but they say it in a mean way, and you think to yourself, man, maybe they don't love me as much as they do? That's your right brain. Or when somebody says a totally inappropriate remark in a social situation, that's their right brain not working. It's non-linear. It's the creative side. It's nonverbal. Has to do with the faces, the eyes, the body. Has a lot to do with the amygdala. The amygdala is the emotional part of the brain, deep within the side of the brain, and it's stimulated by faces. So reading and math comprehension. So that right brain may not be working. The left hemisphere is the gas pedal. It's the go. It approach responses, initiates movement, it initiates thought, controls fine motor or small movements, likes high frequency stimulation. It is the what part of your brain. It has to do with memorization. It's linear. It's analytical. It's math oriented. It has to do with verbal fluency. It likes routine sameness. It is the happy brain. If your right brain isn't firing, or left brain isn't firing, and your right brain's overfiring, you're depressed. So here's the brain out of balance, and maybe this is happening with your child or loved one. It loves TV, videos, computer games, so you have to limit that. It likes sameness, routines, or rituals. It often has great memory, normal and often above average intelligence, poor social skills, poor verbal skills, tantrums, poor emotional control. This is the brain out of balance. It's very self-directed, very passive. It has a tendency to fidget or stay moving. Tendency to fixate or perseverate. Perseverate means they're doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Often has sensory issues. Many dyslexic kids had language delays. Not all, but many. You see, the right hemisphere is responsible for nonverbal communication. Remember we talked about that? Nonverbal communication is the foundation of verbal communication. So understanding one's feelings, understanding facial expressions, body language, etc. If your child isn't doing that, nonverbal communication, there's no way that they are going to be working with language, verbal communication. Without the basic pillars of communication, appropriate verbal communication is delayed. One method to encourage appropriate speaking in these children is to work on building nonverbal communication. We're going to show you how we do that. Why are there sensory problems? It's not a problem with a particular sense. The problem is in the frontal lobes. The front part of the brain is the who you are. So there's traditional treatment options, like I said, and I've seen this where a patient's dyslexic and they're getting a drug for ADD, ADHD. Doesn't make any sense. And those drugs affect the brain globally. And there are side effects to those drugs. If you're taking medication, or your child's taking medication, I'm not telling you to stop. That's called practicing medicine without a license. I am telling you to beware of the consequences and look for alternatives, which I am offering you. These traditional treatments don't take into consideration the hemispheric imbalance. They're not right or left brain specific.